Hey everyone, we are back for another exciting episode. This week is the one about drum majors. We are going to talk to Jack Goudreau, an amazing drum major instructor. We will also find out what made Thom say,
I got one more for you guys, and it's really your worst nightmare story in a marching act situation.
and why Nicole said,
Ow, yeah, dude. Okay, here's the funny thing. I can look back at this now and laugh, but I was conducting in a completely different meter than what the music was in.
oh no!
Oh no.
All this and more on this week's episode of On a Water Break.
Let's go. Set it up.
Top of the show.
Form, check form. Cover down. Do it again. Run it back. And we'll see you at the show.
Welcome to another episode of On a Water Break, the podcast where we talk about everything you and your friends are talking about at rehearsal on a water break. I'm Jackie Brown. This week is all about the drum majors, and all of our hosts have some great stories that we are about to dive into. Let's check in and see who's on staff on the sidelines this week and who's ready to take the Long Ranger first. Thom.
Hello, and of course, yeah, it's like 72 and sunny. It's super nice out.
Always the California weather. Oh, man.
Right? I was excited to talk about drum majors, though, because we just started doing drum major auditions at my high school I work with. So this is a lot of fun because, this is going to be a neat one. Yeah, I'm
It's going to
excited.
be a great episode. Ashley is joining us. Hi, Ashley.
Hi. Yeah, we're starting leadership auditions next week. Next Tuesday is when we have ours. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for them to. I always like seeing them try to push themselves and learn all the different things that they can in the interviews, in the teaching, and all of that. I think it's really cool for them to push themselves.
And we have Nicole.
Pew, 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 pew. Okay. Pew, 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 pew. So I just wanted to let Thom know I just looked it up on my phone, and it's so nice. It's 77 degrees here in Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
So
It is not going to last before it's like 100 degrees of humidity and anger.
no, we're not angry yet. It's still nice right now. We're not angry. But I'm definitely not having drum major auditions anywhere right now because
Me
I don't
neither.
right. I don't work with any programs anymore or anything like that. But it's just been maybe a longer decompression for me just since Winter Guard just finished and with work and all that other good stuff because I work at a vet, so I've been seeing a lot more puppies come in, which is literally that's the thing that makes my heart melt. Show me a puppy and you will see a part of Nicole that you have never seen before. But yeah.
I love it. I love it. Nicole, I didn't tell you this before, but I actually was a pre-vet student in college.
Oh, really?
Yes, I worked as a vet tech for 7 years.
This
And then
is something
I just pivoted. I was like, you know what? Let's go teach biology. What the heck? And color guard.
oh, that's awesome. That is something that
Yeah.
it's something that's in a serious if people ever wanted to get into that field, they could and anywhere. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely, there's a need for it. Well, let's go right into our gush and go since we're all feeling chatty anyways. Thom, do you want to gush first?
Yeah. Hey, look, it's drum corps is starting in like another month or so. Like, yay! And this is the time when they start needing like volunteers, easy jobs like driving like a regular van or helping out with food or sous vide. Like, if you're a rookie parent, that's an awesome way to get to have a really good experience, firsthand with the corps. If you're a person that maybe didn't make it this year, a hopeful member, that's another good way to be around the Corps, observe, and have a better chance the following year of getting into the Corps. So volunteer, help out these Corps. That's my
I love
gushing.
that. They're always looking for like people. I know because I get phone calls all the time because I have a CDL, and like now I'm gonna get more because I'm announcing it on a podcast. But I always get these phone calls. They're like, "We have a CDL. Do you want to come join us?" I'm like,
That would be cool though. It'd be like Jackie's like, well, I'm just gonna go for like a weekend, and
if only the contracts were that short. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't have anything really like. I guess I do have a good gush. Actually, the school that I work with here locally has a mini guard, and they just had their mini guard recently, and they had like a huge turnout. And they sent me the video, and they did so good. And if you follow me at Spintronics Guard on social media, then you may have seen it pop up in my stories. And if you missed it, just DM me, and I will send it to you because it's super duper cute. And
Wait,
yeah,
you said mini guard. Like, are they just only a few people, or are they mini people?
they're mini people. they're they're
like
elementary school kids.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
that's
so
awesome.
sweet.
Yeah, it's great. We've had a mini guard. We had a really good mini guard program going on, and then in 2020 that kind of got thrown off the rails, of course. And so
Mhm.
with all of that mess, it's been a long time of trying to get it built back up, and this year really I think was a big step of it coming back, and I'm pretty excited for it.
oh, that's cool. Oh,
That is
I love
cool.
seeing those little ones out there doing that because it
Aren't
just like it like melts my heart. I'm like, you're so tiny. Look at that big old flagpole in you.
they're adorable. Nicole, why don't you do your gush and go next? You have all the cute things going on over there.
Cute things and I guess changing things. So ever since I moved to Cincinnati, I was working at one vet, and um, I have since loved, like, this was the first time I've ever been in the veterinary field at all, and I've loved it, but I've wanted to like move into something else, and so I am going to be at an emergency vet in the oncology department now, but that's not until the end of the month, and so I'm super excited about that.
Congratulations! Woohoo!
Woo.
I'm super excited to start it. And I have, this is like a personal gush and go for me in the activity field, but like I literally have just cut off my marching band schedule. So like coming to a marching band field near you, judging is Nicole Younger. So yay.
Nice.
Those schedules, they just fill up so fast, don't they?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't like, yeah, right. I was like, sure, I'll do it. And then I looked and I was like, oh, that is every week.
Every
Okay, here we go.
weekend.
You're like, oh yeah, what is there, like 10 weekends or whatever in marching season? You're just like, oh yeah, I can do like 5 or 6 of those, and then all of a sudden it's like, why do I have 8? Why do I have 10? What's going on?
I'll
Right.
yell out, "I'm still available."
Ashley, what do you want to gush and go on about this week?
So this past weekend, I was on the judging panel for the University of Delaware Golden Girl Twirlers. So that was really exciting. The band director was there, Heidi Sarver, the twirling instructor, Dina Frank. So I'm really excited for the marching band season there. So I help out there in the fall, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then go to all the games. But then I also teach the color guard at Rising Sun High School, which is my local high school, literally in my parents' backyard. Like
Oh,
the football field, you can see the football field, the scoreboard, it's all right there. I am actually taking on the task of writing the drill this year. So we're
ooh.
going to see how that goes. I've done it once before during COVID.
Are you using a program or doing it by hand?
I have Pieware, but I feel like I might do it by hand first. I'm
Pieware?
like, I need to write it.
We should hook her up with Lindsay.
Yeah.
There we go.
I was supposed to take a class in college, this marching band techniques about like how to use Pieware, it was like how to be a band director. It was like an elective, but I didn't take it because my classes were full. Instead, I had to take medieval Spanish literature.
Oh, what?
No.
I had
That
to
is
finish minor,
a departure.
so I had to finish the minor. It was terrible.
How has that come into play so far?
It doesn't actually. Surprisingly enough, I don't use Spanish medieval literature every day.
Would that be Don?
Nice.
I
Like
don't even
Don-
use Spanish every day.
Well, oh,
Okay, that's fun. Well, if you missed our WGI decompression episode, maybe go back and listen to that, guys. Come on now. You did not get introduced to Lex Holland, known on social media as @BlondeCaramelTwist. They are definitely not afraid to speak their mind. So, in a new segment that we're starting just this week, it's time to let Lex let you have it. Go, Lex.
So, here are my rambling brain ideas, right, on April Camp and auditions. If you left April Camp a couple weeks ago and you made the color guard, that's not like, of course, pat yourself on the back, congratulations, but like also, girl, like go practice. Like that's your time to be like, now I have to put in the work, right? Like whatever you learned at April Camp, whether it was movement or weapon or flag or what have you, if there's a skill in there or several skills that you've never done or you were not doing to the level that you were being asked to do, because either one or both are true, you know, those skills are going to show up in your show. Like no one is going to teach a ditty at any kind of audition of just like random skills. Like, no, those skills are in that choreographer's wheelhouse. So they're going to show up for you. And not that you need to be able to do them when you get to move-ins, but like you should show improvement, right? Like if you think of, you know, drum corps auditions and color guard auditions or dance auditions for that matter, or anything, right? It's all like, think of it as a movie, right? April Camp is just the preview. Move-ins is the movie. And who hates but to like go and you're watching a preview and you're like, oh my God, that movie looks like it's going to be so good. So then you clear out your schedule on a Friday night and you go to the movie theaters where you spend an unnecessary amount of money, by the way. Like I just wanted some Junior Mints and like a slushie, and I'm going to have to like dig into my 401k, but that's beside the point. Like you go through all this trouble to go to the movie and then you're like, oh my God, that could have been straight to DVD. You don't want that for yourself, right? Going to April Camp is not proving what you can do. It's proving what you're capable of doing. And the whole idea of, you know, that arc that happens, or really the climb and the ascending that happens during move-ins into tour, is getting closer and closer, if not reaching that potential. It's never plateauing. And as long as you put in that work right now, starting right now from auditions, then of course you are going to improve. Because as we all know, anything can happen. And just because you were given a spot on, you know, April whatever it was, doesn't mean that on August 12th, you know, on finals or semis or prelims, whenever your final performance is, it doesn't mean that that's going to be your spot forever. And the only way that that's going to happen is if you continue to put in the work and maintain that positive attitude and know that I am only, one, doing the best I can, and two, living and performing and working towards my potential and hoping to reach it. And if you can do that, then you're golden. And those are my thoughts.
So this week is all about drum majors. So, who has some good drum major stories?
I like how you just left that very ambiguous to talk about.
I have one, but I don't want to go first.
Well, I'll tell you this. Okay, so when I was in high school, I actually tried out to be a drum major. So, fun fact, but then I don't know because I don't remember all the things that I talk about when I'm on this podcast. But horn play. Yeah, I know. I was a horn player before I was in color guard, and so when I was in high school, I was like, you know, I was a baritone player, so I was like, yeah, I'm the thing. Oh, you know, like no one could tell me anything. And so when it was time for drum major auditions, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll try out for drum major. And like when you practice being a drum major, excuse me, well, I don't even know what the words are anymore, but anyway, when I was practicing the song to, to present, like, anytime someone came in, you had to like be a little bit over dramatic with like cueing someone in and stuff like that.
Right.
And I really thought that I had it together. Like, I don't know. But I remember like, walking away from the audition like, yeah, I just nailed that. And I totally didn't, because they had so much they had so much to say, because they critiqued you right on the spot. And I was like,
Oh,
wow, yeah, dude. Okay, here's the funny thing. I can look back at this now and laugh, but I was conducting in a completely different meter than what the music was in.
oh no.
Oh no.
We've had that happen too
And
where I work.
and owning it, because the music director was just like, I mean, you really thought you were doing the right thing.
And I bet high school Nicole was like devastated.
I mean, you have to get it solid though, right? If you're gonna make a mistake, just go for it.
Right. And I cut off when I was supposed to and all that other good stuff. But I was just like, all right, you obviously don't know. And then like it made me think like, okay, do they think I don't know what the drum major's doing on the podium when I'm playing? Like, So, oh, you couldn't tell me anything, came to please tell me everything. That. Oh, it was so funny. But yeah, that's my drum major story.
Tom, you started to tell us a story before the podcast from drum corps.
Well, we may have to save that story for more of Drum Corps After Dark. I think on the water break we have to start, midnight food truck snacks or a show, something like that. But that is a really good drum major story. I'm not going to mention the organization right now. But,
The name changed.
I love watching the kids audition for drum major, especially in the Scholastic area. You have really confident kids all the way down to, what am I even doing here, right? And somewhere in between is your perfect drum major. I think.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you don't want them to be overconfident with what they're doing, because, I mean, especially when you're talking about like high schoolers, they do have a lot to learn, and if they realize that they have a lot to learn, then they're a lot more receptive to the education that they get as a drum major.
Yeah. Right now we have 3 color guard folks auditioning for drum major.
That's excellent.
Nice.
That's interesting.
And they all looked really good the other day at auditions. I was really impressed. And I was like, do we have enough color guard to let these folks go?
Oh,
Well, it's a small program. We usually run around 10 to 12 color guard. So, but, if
I have seen that happen a lot more. I've seen that happen a lot more with color guard members, being drum majors and things like that. And that actually like takes me back to, oh gosh, is it Blue Nights? I think it was Blue Nights. Like, and this was when I say a couple years ago, I mean maybe 5, because I remember watching their drum majors, and like, instead of, there's a traditional pattern, I guess. All right, you're talking to the person that didn't know what meter they were on. Like, they would do like make a box and go to the side and stuff, and I was just like, I would watch the show, but then I'm watching the drum majors, and I'm like, ooh, y'all were like, it's like it is like choreography,
True.
So seeing, basically what I'm getting at is, having color guard people come in and start to do what the drum majors are doing. They have they look, it's looked at like choreography. So
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense in our program. A majority of our color guard does play an instrument in the concert band.
Oh, okay.
So they do have some musical background, which helps a lot, being in the color. For years, we had, a much younger guard that didn't have much music background. and you would ask the color guard staff or a member, what count are you on? I'm on da 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 da.
Me. That was me. I'm on the part where the flags go whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
It's like when they say, okay, everyone sing your part.
Yes.
The color guard's like, up, down, turn around.
There you go.
Everyone's like, what?
Which then the guys just stand there in awe, like, what just happened?
It's like a totally different language.
Yeah.
Speaking of like the drum guys, the drum majors in most scholastic programs I've ever worked with, whenever the drum staff starts to approach the podium, you can hear it start to rattle in fear. They're like, what is the drum guy going to say to me? What is he going to say to me?
I love those small schools though, like when they don't have a lot of color guard, and so they really need like their color guard people, but then they have a color guard person who like does really good at drum major, and they actually pull them maybe for a song, and like that color guard person is the drum major for a song, and then they go back on the field and they do color guard for a song, and they can switch it up. I think it's so great for people to get a variety of experiences within their band. So like it's great to be in the same section all 4 years of high school and whatever, but like high school is the time you should be experimenting, I think. And so seeing these color guard people trying out for drum major, it's like, go for it, figure it out, get some more skills. Ashlee, you got any drum major stories?
Yeah, so I actually conducted a song my senior year of high school. So I twirled and did color guard for like the first part of it, and then I did not try out to be a drum major. Let me just say that. Band director was just like, okay, you're going to conduct a song. Is that okay? I was like, okay, I guess. But there was like a tempo change. There was like a meter change. I was like, I don't know about all this. I'll wave my hands, but I don't know what it means.
Did you figure it out though?
Did I freak out?
Or did you figure it out?
Oh, yeah, eventually.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't that much instruction, but I got it. I figured it out.
Your band.
How big is it?
How many people were in it?
Maybe like 60.
Oh, that's
something
that's
like
a pretty
that.
small.
Yeah.
Wow. I would be like, okay, I'm just going to stand in front of you. Could you please tell me what I need to do? Like, what I need to do.
He's like, okay, down, in, out, up, down, in, out, up. I'm like, okay, I got this.
I never had the desire of wanting to be drum major, but I do get where someone would want to be the drum major. 'Cause, I mean, you're not necessarily keeping time these days. We rehearse to a metronome and a doctor beat, 90% of your rehearsal time. So that's like ingrained into your muscle memory. All the other leadership skills that you encounter and develop, I think are probably where it's at in my head to want to be drum major these days.
You're right. You are right, because like those drum majors are kind of like mini staff.
Cheerleaders.
Yeah, cheerleaders for the band, mini staff for the staff, and yeah, they know exactly. Here's my one thing too, is just like, anytime you're resetting, they're like, okay, at the top of this set, pick up on the downbeat of, and I'm sure I'm saying that all wrong, but like, you know that, and they're like, okay, set, here we go, and it's just like, wait, especially for the color guard, it's like, I don't know what the top of A is.
What
like,
is set A? I don't know.
Right. And they can like decipher that for them. And it's just like, A is this set. Thank you. Okay, great. I'm ready. So yeah, they have to be locked into everybody. And not to mention, like, they have this like synchronicity, because I spent a lot of time when I was with the Colts, like up near the drum major podium. And when you're not a drum major, you don't learn these things, but like they are literally watching that center snare for their timing.
Yep.
The majority or all of the time, So it's just like they are what's the driving beat of, that show. Some and some marching bands will do that too if they're, you know, bigger or even do that. But I remember that's something I picked up later on in life, and I was like, gosh, that is cool. I could not be a drum major.
Do you want to hear my story?
So we always want to hear the story.
It's just a touch risque. It's not bad.
wait. It's like some cocoa and.
No, okay. So so my rookie year of drum corps, I was at Memphis Sound, which is a corps that is of course gone. So I'm just gonna throw it out there. We had a set that where what?
They're back this year, aren't they? Memphis Sound?
It's different. It's Memphis Blues. It's a different corps. It's different people running it. But
hey, I got all excited. Sorry.
yeah, I know. But it's a lot of the same people are involved. There's a lot of people like locally involved. So I am very excited about it too. I talked about it on another podcast episode. But anyway, so we started the entire show for some reason. The entire corps was facing the audience, facing the drum major, and then the entire color guard for some reason was facing the backfield. So and the show started like right on, like boom, go. And so you had to see the whatever the drum majors do, the downbeat. And we were facing backfield. So it was like, do we look over our shoulder? No, don't face the audience. What do we do? Okay, so we have a backfield drum major. Okay, cool. Got it. No problem, right? We'll watch the backfield drum major. We practiced well into the dark many nights. And when that started to happen, for some reason, the main drum major up front had glow sticks. And it was great because people could see him, you know, they could see the count off. And the backfield drum major did not have glow sticks. And so on our next free day, I went and bought glow sticks for the backfield drum major. Like I bought him a whole pack so he could have like enough glow sticks for the whole summer. And the main drum major, the head drum major, was furious because I bought something for the backfield drum major, not for him. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so he was like, no, you have to be punished for this. And I was just like, oh, you know, drum corps. My punishment was that I had to give him a shoulder massage during snack. Yeah, I told you it was a little risque, which like, I was like, at first I was like, oh my gosh, I'm being punished by the drum major. But also I had a huge crush on him and it was very obvious. So it was very much not a punishment to me.
Okay, if I have to.
If I have to. I mean, the drum major told me I had to.
Guess I gotta do it.
Oh my gosh. We have stayed friends after that, and we never did date. So that's how that ended up. But still, it was pretty exciting time to be a drum major over there in Memphis Sound.
I have another story. I just remembered one. So I can't remember what year it was, but I think it was like 2018 at the Hawthorne Caballeros. One of the drum majors was like missing a show, so they asked one of the horn players to like be the back drum major so that or like one of the assistants so they could go. They started in the back and they came up around to the front. So they like wall call professionally, like going from the back to the front. But like at this point in the show, I think it was like a quick change, so she kind of had to like run. But she fell on the ground and her feet literally went like above her head. She looked like the letter C. And then it was in the video and everyone screenshot it and like set it as their profile picture for like a month.
Oh my gosh.
It was so funny.
I hope she was okay, right?
Oh yeah, she's fine.
Oh, the days of social media. Tom, do you have another story?
Yeah, I got one more for you guys, and it's really your worst nightmare story in a marching act situation. I was the percussion caption head of the San Francisco Renegades Senior Drum Corps for quite a few years. And 1 year at championships, I think it was 2008, in finals performance, the drum major skipped a 15-second part of the show.
Oh.
No.
She's conducting the drum solo right away, and 2/3 of the corps didn't really know how to react. Like, what's going
How did
on?
they do that?
Literally stopped, reset that part of the show, and
No.
restarted. Mouth on the floor, just, what just happened?
Oh, did they
That's
just like
wild.
where they were? Like, oh,
The major just had a complete, brain fart. And yeah. That moment of like, what happens when that happens? Well, you reset and start over.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do, really.
Yeah, you want to finish with a good, strong performance, so that's what the corps did. It did drop them a few spots in finals.
Yikes! Yeah, that's like a stress stream. Yikes!
Yeah, the drum major hid from us after. She was so afraid that like we were gonna. Yeah, she went and hid after the performance. She thought we were gonna be so angry with her. We weren't. It was good.
Let's talk to our expert, who is a former drum major herself, Beth. She's going to settle this all out for us. So, everybody get up on the field, and staff, let's huddle up so we can learn what the drum major does, because clearly we don't actually know what it's supposed to be.
What makes a good drum major? Being a drum major is one of the most difficult jobs that a student can ever possibly serve in. It's more difficult than being a football quarterback. It's more difficult than being the captain of the tennis team. Being a drum major means that you are responsible for tens, if not hundreds, of marching members that are made up of your peers. In this role, you're not a staff member, but you're also not a regular marching member. Yet at the same time, you are trusted to lead your ensemble, to motivate your peers, and to help support each and every individual when something might not be going perfectly. As drum majors, this can create so much mental stress and so much emotional pull that we have to overcome in order to continue being the absolute best for our position and for our program. In order to be a good drum major, it's always helpful to show up on time, to be prepared both in terms of music as well as just ensemble readiness, being ready for the rehearsal with the right equipment and other materials you might need. And ultimately, it's really important to know when you need to be giving direction, when you need to be giving support, or when you need to take a step back and have someone else take the lead, whether that's a band director, a section leader, or another ensemble member. Being able to delegate is one of the most helpful attributes in being a great drum major. Overall, the role is very difficult. It's a lot more stressful than a lot of people think. And even though you often see a drum major conducting on the podium and doing a fancy salute, 80%, if not more, of their job is spent doing leadership responsibilities both on and beyond the field. If you're interested in learning more about what it's like to be a drum major or the tips that you need to be successful, feel free to check out the podcast by the Drum Major Leadership Academy entitled Beyond the Field, and be sure to stay tuned for a new podcast by On a Water Break entitled Never on a Water Break, The Life of a Drum Major. We hope that these tips are helpful and hope to work with you soon.
Hey, this is Christine Ream.
And Chris Green.
Guard Closet was founded as a consignment business in 2000. Since then, it has grown to include winter guard, band, percussion, and other genres.
We can help you with custom flag and costuming designs.
Our consignment inventory has plenty of great looks for your color guard, drumline, and marching band.
Pay it forward. When you purchase consignment, you help other programs. Last year, we sold over 400 sets of consignments and returned over $125,000 in payments to our consigners for their sales.
Additionally, Guard Closet offers custom and pre-designed costumes, flags, floors, and formal wear, full or partial show writing, educational programming, and other services.
Max out your rehearsal time and set up a microsite for easy student ordering for shoes, gloves, and other equipment.
The Guard Closet team is here to help you get everything you want and need for your season. Check us out at guardcloset.com and follow us on social media.
Thank you, Jackie. I think that being a drum major is really, for me, it was definitely it was an honor every time I was drum major. And I was drum major, I had the fortune of being in a school district when I was younger that I was able to be a drum major in junior high in eighth and ninth grades. My director felt like I had something special. I didn't know what it was. I didn't even know that I was being considered, but he kind of named me to be the drum major in eighth grade, and I was hooked, from the first time I stepped on the podium. And so I got to do it again then when I got to 12th grade, and then in my last year at Westchester University. So I had progressed through, obviously a small group in junior high, and then a regular sized, average sized high school group. And then, when I got to Westchester, I was a drum major for over 200 people on the field at the same time, which at the time was very big. And it was something that was very important to me in the sense that it was a great way for me to build my leadership skills. It was a great way for me to really understand poise under pressure. Being a drum major involved much more than just, being able to maintain a steady beat and focus primarily on the center snare. That's really how I stayed in time, and that's how I prevented any kind of phasing issues in my unit. Was I became, synced up with our center snare, Daryl Goslin, and I was fortunate too in a unique situation. He was my center snare in high school and in college. We went to the same high school, and so when we each got to our respective positions in college, it was like falling back into an old routine, and it was really helpful, I think, for both of us. But being drum major gave me an opportunity to meet everybody in the band, not just people in my woodwind section that I had come from. It gave me more of an opportunity to learn how a band moves, how a band behaves in terms of getting from point A to point B, how to get everybody's attention, how to also build relationships with everybody within the band at some level so as to garner their respect, but also respect them and all of their roles, respective roles in the unit. And I think that's really been beneficial for me as I've, in my professional career, which has nothing to do with being a drum major necessarily, and yet has everything to do with being a drum major because I'm a leader in my job, right? I do group travel, and we plan tours for people. So I'm the point person. I'm the leader. I'm the person that's guiding a group from A to B and getting them through their tour, which is very much like moving a band. And since I'm working with band directors, that's definitely helpful as well. So I think that, being a drum major for me was not just about keeping time, was not just about musicality, which are both incredibly important, obviously, for a successful performance. But I learned so much more about being authentic in my leadership and about being confident in myself and my abilities, even at times when I didn't feel that way. When you go to a school at like Westchester where you're in a band with a bunch of music education majors who are incredibly talented people, it's easy to feel maybe a little doubtful of your skill set, but this is, and you can treat it as an opportunity to learn from those folks, which is what I did. I just tried to be a sponge and soak up as much knowledge as I could from all of them to bolster my confidence as I led them on the field and from the podium. So I value that position more so even now, I think, than I did then. I mean, I loved it then, and I'm not going to lie, the attention's great when you're on the podium and you get to turn around and acknowledge the crowd, and the crowd's applauding. It's a really good feeling. But even more so now as an adult, removed from the activity itself, I find a great deal of satisfaction in the skill sets the skills that I attained when I was a drum major, and I find that they are being used every day in some fashion in my current job, which is pretty cool. So for anybody listening who is a drum major and who also may not be interested in moving on with their career in terms of music education or in that capacity, regardless of the career path you choose, those skills will translate. And I would just give that as a word of encouragement to anybody out there listening who wants to, who thinks they might want to be a drum major. I would definitely take that chance and take the podium, take charge, and move on. It's really interesting to me that there are so many different types of drum majors with regard to whether you're a drum corps drum major, whether a marching band drum major, a parade drum major, a military style drum major. They all have different skills and expectations, I think, that each unit is going to expect from their drum major. We were so fortunate to speak with a former Blue Stars drum major, and this is what they had to say about their experience as a drum major.
Is there a difference between a drum major and a field conductor? That's a great question, and typically the answer is yes. Drum majors typically have more leadership responsibilities and serve as the head conductor or head conductors of an ensemble. They're typically going to be the ones running rehearsal, while field conductors are going to be assisting them in all the things that they do and serving as assistant conductors out on the side and at the back of the field as needed.
We had the great pleasure of talking to Josh Hecht again. He is in charge of the DMLA program, and if you're not following him on Insta or Facebook, you should. But he had some more tips and ideas about what it means to be a drum major. Let's take a listen.
Overall, the role is very difficult. It's a lot more stressful than a lot of people think. And even though you often see a drum major conducting on the podium and doing a fancy salute, 80%, if not more, of their job is spent doing leadership responsibilities both on and beyond the field.
Well, that was pretty great. And, it's always good to hear from different people who have had different perspectives from the podium, and it could depend on a lot of things in terms of your age, your gender, or how you identify, the size of the marching unit you're in front of, the school that you came from, the town you came from, your family. All of those things feed into how you are on the podium and what your ideas are about being a drum major, and they all form you into that leader and that leadership role. And we had the opportunity, which I think I was really grateful for this chance. There's a really cool young guy named Jack Goudreau, and he is on the West Coast, and he is what I would call a flourish drum major. He is typically in front of a pipe band or a Western. The West Coast has a heavy military band influence in terms of their marching units and parade bands in particular. And he is a drum major in front of a parade band, and his whole experience as a drum major is completely different from mine in the sense that he isn't necessarily a field conductor so much as a leader of a parade group with a huge bearskin hat and a big decorative mace, as well as a spinning mace, and lots of flourishes go into what that type of performance is like for him as a drum major. And I'm looking forward for everybody to stay tuned and to hear what he had to say about being a drum major. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to On a Water Break. And on this water break, we're going to talk to somebody who is usually never on a water break based on their position with the band. And this person will enlighten you as to the view from the front. And his name is Jack Goudreau. Welcome, Jack.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hi. Good. Thanks for joining us. And, being a drum major is a unique position. Very small percentage of people in the marching arts get to participate as a drum major. So give us an idea a little bit about your background and where you started and how you got into band and then ultimately being a drum major.
Yeah, absolutely. So, gosh, it's been 10 years now since I picked up my mace. And so I'm from California. So our styles of drum major, we kind of have a little bit of a variant here on the West Coast. So you can either be a corps style drum major. We have a lot of successful field show bands here in California, but we also have a really special sort of all-Americana sort of competition known as parade band. And so basically parade bands, they play military marches. The band's in a rank and file formation, and in front is the drum major. And so Drum major typically has military baton or a mace to signal commands and also to flourish it in competition. So we are actually judged on our flourishing and our marching deportment and whatnot in competition. So that's where I'm from. So I'm from the parade band style of drum major. But gosh, so the first few years before I got to the position of drum majoring, we were our collective sort of drum major group in Northern California competes in winter competitions, L pattern drum major competitions. So simulations of what it'd be like on a parade, right? And then we also have field conducting competitions as well too, where you play a recording track of a band and you actually conduct to it on a to the track on a podium. So basically, we were going through training. Typically, all the novice style or apprentice style drum majors, they're slowly building up to eventually audition for the head position of drum major for their high school unit. And so that's basically my first 4 years of drum majoring, was testing out the waters with this art form and slowly progressing the skills and acquiring the skills that I needed to eventually secure a position as the lead drum major for my high school. So my final year of high school, I got really deep into the parade band competition circuit, and after that, I wanted to continue flourishing mace. So it's there are two options: the military baton and then the Scottish mace. And so after high school, I really wanted to continue on flourishing. So the options that we have here on the West Coast is to be part of the Scottish pipe band drum major community, where they do have solo drum major competitions, and you're judged on flourishing in a heat with several other drum majors and a really high stakes flourishing competition. It's really
Wow.
really fun. So
So is this like a private circuit? It's not affiliated with schools at that point. This
no,
is
yeah, it's a
the
solo professional circuit, yeah, for the Western United States Pipe Band Association. So it's a really cool activity, and the nice part about it is it's also the same format of competitions done in Scotland, Northern Ireland, and other regions around the Commonwealth countries. So it's a really awesome international
that's amazing.
competition circuit. Yeah, so that's sort of the gist of what I've been up to. I've also been instructing on the side for a high school circuit for the high schools in Northern California, and our units are actually preparing right now to go compete in Southern California for the state drum major championship. So yeah, that's what we've been up
That's
to. Yeah.
okay. So for our listeners, I think a lot of our listeners are used to corps style or field show conductors conducting from
Right.
the podium, in that style. And so to me, this is fascinating, right? This is a totally different branch
World.
of being a drum major.
Yeah.
And I want to know more. So like, how old were you when you first decided, were you like, did you play an instrument first? Did you
Yeah.
pick up the mace first? Like, how did it start for you?
So it typically starts with an instrument, right? So I was an alto saxophone player in middle school, actually, and so the high school that I was eventually going to go to was actually a British style uniform parade band. So I almost immediately got the sort of British Scottish exposure to the style of mace flourishing that we're doing from high school. So I picked up a mace summer of 8th grade, and then I advanced into freshman year, and of course trained and then became the head drum major for the marching band. So that's sort of the
That's
progression of it all. Yeah.
so, from my personal experience, when I was in high school and I was selected to be drum major my senior year, our director had asked us if we were interested, my co-drum major Amy and I, if we wanted to use a mace. And
Yeah.
for us, it was purely I don't want to say decorative, but it was more of a formality. It wasn't really, we didn't really have a show designed around mace tossing. And I mean, there were drum majors that did that, but that wasn't really the thing.
Right.
And so when we got to drum major camp and we got to work with George Parks, who was a big East Coast influence into the world of drum majoring, he called he broke us into two different groups. There were the drum majors who used a mace and the ones that didn't. And the ones that didn't, he called Teflon because they were non-stick. So they were the non-stick drum majors, and then the ones that had a mace were the mace drum majors. We didn't get anywhere near the level that you're describing, not even close. So this is I'm really excited to hear about this. So once you got out of high school, and you started into the pipe band circuit, the Scottish circuit.
Yes.
Like, what kind of opportunities are there then for you to perform, and what do you do with that, and where can that take you?
So again, going back to the Scottish circuit, this art form, so the Scottish circuit is around all the Commonwealth countries and really strong as well in the United States, especially on the West Coast. So almost automatically you're opened up to a large variety of opportunities to go and perform in other countries. So for example, I auditioned to be a part of the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo of Scotland, and I was selected to represent the United States at this international event, which is the best way that I can describe it is sort of just an ancient field show. So this has been going on. This has been going on since the 50s. Basically, the tattoo is a celebration of all the arts and a lot of the military household bands of the UK. So a lot of premier bands from around the Commonwealth go there and represent their country at this event. And it was just truly a magical experience. The best part about, honestly, the sort of the Scottish circuit and that side of the drum major world is really the history of it all, because you get to see your art, the mace flourishing art form, go back hundreds of years to when drum majors were in front of Scottish regiments and whatnot, and actually originally had a drum. But when you have a drum in front of a military unit, you're typically the first one to be targeted. So that's how the mace came along, because it was able to still give a pulse to the unit behind them without them being a natural target for any enemy attack. So that's how that came to be. So I just love the history of the Scottish circuit. It always perplexes me, fascinates me, and I love passing that tradition and that history on to my students. I think it's a very valuable thing for students to understand where the art form has come from, right? And using that as a foundation to grow the future of our art form as well too is one of my mission statements as an instructor.
Well, that's fabulous, and like you said, the history of it is very important. I think, domestically, here in the United States, we might be familiar with the Spirit of 76 painting with a fife and a drum and a flag bearer. And that's like a takeaway from what you're describing from the Scottish, the drum major that was in front of a regiment. It's the same thing. It's just, you're talking Scotland versus the United States. And I think that like you said, it's neat that it has developed into an art form beyond the military, and that it's something that is so much more accessible. There's a tattoo that does happen on the East Coast every year in Virginia. It's an international tattoo as well, but it's not quite the same as going to Scotland and having that competition in such a historic and lovely and beautiful, setting. But I think it's important for our listeners, especially, to if you can't quite make it to Scotland, there is an opportunity for you to maybe see some folks in Virginia each year in the spring to participate or to see that art form in action. Are you familiar with? And I don't want to put you on the spot if you're not, but I know, like, for the Marine Corps in particular and the President's Own, that their drum corps, their drum major typically has a large mace, and I don't know if you know much about that, but if you could speak to any of that, that would be cool, because I think it'd be interesting for folks to hear about that.
Absolutely. So specifically, that mace is a Dolman and Narborough mace. It is a specific style mace, actually from a company in Scotland. It is a premier style mace, meaning you will never flourish that. I challenge all of the listeners to actually look up a picture of the drum major. It is mostly used for signals and is definitely a presentational mace. Again, no flourishing with that.
Sure.
But yeah, no, absolutely. That that mace is a gorgeous piece of art. As so is the hat that the drum major wears as well too. The bearskin hat that is actually taken influence, of course, from the United Kingdom as well too.
Which is, yeah, and I think that people would be maybe shocked to learn that, or to be interested to know that
Right.
that's where it derived from. That
Absolutely, kind of ironic there,
we're
right?
a relatively new, right? We're a relatively
Yeah.
new country compared to the history that we're talking about, right? So, and just from your personal experience, that's got to be pretty heavy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm constantly humbled by the activity. It never ceases to surprise me. And one
Sure.
of the things that I really love about our art form too is, even though we have like these different pockets, these different trails that you could go on, we're all sort of connected by the central theme of leadership and the central theme of being the catalyst for our ensemble to be the best that they can be and to represent wherever we're from, to the best of our ability. And I think that those core values ring true in every branch of our art form, and really bringing that out in the youth and continuing to use that tradition of leadership as the guiding light for our art form, I think is how we're going to continue this going, right? Or to keep this art form going, right?
Absolutely. Well, Jack, this is a perfect segue for us. We're going to just take a short break, and we're going to toss this back to the folks that are going to be on another water break with our friends over at the podcast. So
Awesome.
pick up your equipment, pick up your mace. Jack's going to be with us in just another moment. And we are back talking to Jack Goudreau. So, Jack, I think you gave us some great history about your style of drum major and the military band concept and the military flourishing of your drum major mace, and that the art that's involved in that. And I was wondering, where do you see yourself, and where do you see that style? I'm sure you see what it is on the West Coast in California. And there's a popularity to it. There's a presence of it that we don't necessarily always see on the East Coast. There are
Right.
some bands that I'm familiar with that do, but where do you see that in the big picture? Do you see that it's growing? Has it waned? What do you see?
So I really see our art form right now looking off into the future. Like it's slowly reaching into the future, specifically in our high school competitors. So in the solo competitions that we have for the L patterns, we're beginning to see a progression away from just marches and exploring real different concepts of music. So we're beginning to have still obviously the drum major will have to stay in time with music, right, as they're performing, but the music selections they're using now are different, and they're more cinematic. There's more of a program effect to a lot of the routines that we're seeing now in the L pattern circuit here. That's what it's called. So the competition is called an L pattern. And so we've seen a lot of progression there in regards to exploring different concepts, different move styles. So I really see our art form expanding in the high school circuit. And the nice part about that is, as the high schoolers are expanding our art form, once they graduate, they can always return to that Scottish circuit and slowly bring these ideas as well too into the Scottish circuit as well too, bringing these new
Sure.
flourishing concepts, new ideas. And I think that sort of foundation of education is the driving catalyst of our activity right there. And I really think that that's going to continue to push all forms of flourishing art form from the drum major perspective onward for many years to come. And we still have a very lively amount of people competing in L patterns, so it's really nice to see. And of course, with the support of the state championship in Southern California, from Northern California to Southern California, we're really beginning to unify our art form here on the West Coast, which is a definite mission statement of mine, and has been a mission statement of my mentor as well too, who taught me. So yeah, no, keeping an eye on the West Coast flourishing scene has been a real treat to see just grow and evolve.
That's super cool. It's so different than
Yeah.
what we see here. I'm telling you, like, we are so immersed on the East Coast in this in the core style that I am
Absolutely.
now. I know I'm going to be Googling a lot after this after this episode, and I think our listeners will too, because I think that it's something that if for folks that maybe want to do something different, that want to expand their skill sets, that want to, just explore this art form, this is another way to do it. So I'm curious now. I need more information, right? I'm dying to know. So like when you're talking about flourishes, I have what I imagine that to be in my head. What does it look like, if you can describe the visual to our audio form?
Yeah, so for mace flourishing specifically, the benefit of using a mace over a military is that you're able to cover more area because the mace is longer than the military, right? So that's the benefit of it. So a lot of the moves a lot of the moves and skill sets that you'll be using with the mace really just have a grander look, a bigger look to them, right? So there's a lot of front plane stuff, so directly in front of the body, in the plane of the body. There's side plane, behind the backs, right? Parallels over the head, 45 incline planes on the left and right side. And recently, some of my students have actually invented new planes as well too. So we're talking about progression
Wow.
of our art form. We're bringing in new concepts, new ideas, new transitions, or in the into the drum major. I don't know the I don't know the drum major lexicon of flourishes, right?
Which nobody, I'm sure, even thought was a thing, but now we're educating everybody that it is a thing. There is a drum major lexicon. So
Absolutely.
is there any tossing involved, like toss and catch,
Oh,
or is
absolutely.
it
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
okay?
tosses. Yeah, parallel tosses, 45 tosses, frontal tosses, behind the back tosses. Yeah, you name it. Yeah, we have it on the West Coast. Yeah.
Now, are you wearing one of those big bearskin hats while you're doing this?
So for the style that I teach, so I teach Scottish and British style. So yeah, it's either in an ostrich feather bonnet for the Scottish style, or the bearskin, which is actually a real bearskin for the British style. So yeah.
So you're doing all of this and you're wearing that at the same
Yeah,
time.
and which is probably one of the most difficult parts of our style, is being able to maintain the uniform and maintaining posture and control in that while spinning a mace.
Absolutely. So you're doing it, but you're also doing this and marching in parade
Yes.
formation. Am I understanding that right?
Yes, and they're supposed to
That's
remain deathly still during performance, which is easy to say but very difficult to do,
oh
especially
heck
when the
no.
pressure's on.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'll leave that to you. Standing still is not my strong point. That's so. In when you're in rehearsal, and you're working with your unit, are you taking on leadership roles within your unit? Is it something that you're more of an additional player? Like how does that role?
Yeah,
What does that look like for you?
so we've talked a lot about like drum major flourishing and whatnot, but the first thing that I always teach the students, and I think that this rings true in any region of drum major, it's not necessarily like what you actually do in performance is really like 3% of what actually is going what of your responsibility as a drum major. The other 97% is leading and supporting your unit and serving your unit as a steward, right? Like that is your number one priority, and it's very easy spinning a really cool stick and whatnot, like throwing it in the air, chucking it, to forget about that. But constantly reminding drum majors that the leadership aspect of the role is the foundational glue of the activity, is of the utmost importance. So yeah, no, you're, as a drum major in front of your band, you're typically responsible for setting spacing for files and ranks. You're responsible for delegating tasks to section leaders. You're responsible for controlling water breaks. You're also responsible for making sure that you can put out fires as well too. If any emergency happens, that's on you as well too. So there's lots of leadership aspects about the drum major art form that are the most, hands down, the most important aspect of our activity. That just completely um, blow flourishing out of the water, right? So, and that's honestly the skill set that's going to go onward, right? Like that,
Absolutely.
it's not really going to be the flourishing. It's not going to be the conducting. It's not going to sure, you might go on to do that. And I'm not trying to deny that.
No.
But these foundational skill sets of being a catalyst for lifting others up around you and for being that catalyst for beneficial change in an organization, that's what's going to continue on. And so, yeah,
Those
that's
life skills.
Yes.
Absolutely. And it's stuff that can carry through. Like you said, not everybody's going to graduate high school or graduate college and be a conductor, a music teacher, educator in that style, but they can be leaders in their businesses and in their occupations in whatever business that is. And all of those, they say soft skills, which I question why it says soft, but those skills, those interpersonal skills, how to conduct yourself and your comportment and stuff is very important as you progress through your journey. And I'm so glad to hear you touch on that, because as we're evolving with our podcast, we're also talking about our new segment called Never on a Water Break, because drum majoring tends to never really be on that water break. And you kind of alluded to it a little bit, because you said you're in charge of water breaks, you're in charge of getting that done. And because we're always doing, and as drum majors, we are those stewards, we are those folks that are taking that role. It's important for folks to realize that yes, while it might be very prestigious to be the one up front and the really cool hat with the big mace and all of those spins and tosses and catches that are very beautiful, there's a lot more to it that goes on behind the scenes, especially in rehearsals, that we don't always get the shiny gold star for. So Thank you so much, Jack. I think you have excited a lot of our listeners about learning about a new art form that I'm sure they didn't consider. And I'm excited to hopefully, point them in your direction. Do you have any kind of social media or places where they could maybe explore or find you?
Yeah. So if you want to, you can either you can go to my Instagram, Goudreau _, GOUDREAU _. If you're interested, feel free to reach out. We can get you as much information as you want about the art form and whatnot. And specifically, if you just even want to see it, if you want to see a video or whatnot, well, we'd be more than welcome to sending material out to people who are interested.
Fantastic. And that's what it's all about, right? Sharing the word, and social media is great for that. So if you're listening, you heard it, it's Goudreau _. So that's GOUDREAU _. And that's on Instagram. So check him out and check out the art. I'm so excited and fascinated to hear about it. I'm so glad you took the time today to meet with us and chat with us and chat with our listeners.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm excited about it. So thank you so much. And now we're going back to Jackie, probably, or maybe just the rest of our staff, and they are on a water break.
Hi everyone, it's Tim Hinton, the beast of the marching arts, the host of the Marching Roundtable podcast, and the creator of marchingartseducation.com. I've just taken a little water break here, and I thought I would share some information about what's going on at the Marching Roundtable. But first, I want to say, wow, congratulations to everybody for the incredible, great, successful work and season we just had in the indoor activity this winter. Wow, all the stuff that happened in Dayton was really inspiring and exciting. It was great to see your passion on display. Thank you for all your hard work, whether you're a designer, a director, instructor, performer, parent, support person. All these people make the activity happen, and wow, are you impressive. Now, here's my thought for you today. Make sure you take some time to rest. That's right. Right now, people are jumping right back into auditions for the fall or getting ready for drum corps. The cycle just keeps on going. But I want to tell you, make sure you're taking some time at the end of this momentous season to rest, to reflect, take long weekends, take evenings off. If you're like me, sometimes I just have to schedule that on my calendar. I'm not going to work on this night. I'm going to take some time and do something, hopefully I'd like to say, that doesn't have anything to do with the marching arts activity. Just enjoy some time off, rest, take care of yourself, because we'll very soon be jumping right back in. You need to be rested, healthy, mentally ready for everything that's about to happen. So take some time. I promise you'll be glad you did. This week at the Marching Roundtable podcast, we have another in our series called 3 Things I Wish I'd Known When I First Started Teaching. This is Gene Montarastelli, who's a very important visual judge in the earlier years of Drum Corps International, now is working with drum majors in a very significant way at DCI. You'll love hearing about things he wished he had known when he first started teaching way back when with the Troopers. And also, next week's podcast is focusing on education and a competitively driven activity. This is two really smart folks from Southwind Drum and Bugle Corps talking about how they have a successful season with their students, focusing on education and helping those students grow, while, of course, being in the middle of competitive activity and wanting to do very, very well. And don't forget, there was a recent podcast with the crew from On a Water Break that I think you'll really enjoy. And one more thing, watch for a webinar coming up on May 24th with Ron Vereen talking about grant writing for not-for-profit arts groups. Jeremy, thanks for including me. This is Tim Hinton, the Beast of the Marching Arts. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Jack, for joining us. Follow him at Goudreau_. That is GOUDREAU_. We are very excited for Never on a Water Break, the stories of the drum majors that is coming soon to our channel. So make sure you subscribe to our podcast to listen. We have lots more to get to on this water break, so let's get right into it. Whitney is back this week talking about next season prep. She is currently at the band parent meeting telling this to everyone in person. So take it away, Whitney.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Wisdom with Whitney. Today, we are going to talk about parent meetings. Now, I touched on this a little bit last week, so we're going to expand. If you are in charge of any kind of pageantry program, you should definitely have some kind of parent meeting at the start of every year. We just did ours tonight for the color guard where I teach, and it went really well, and we were able to get all the information that we needed to out within 1 hour. What we did was go over my band director's incoming marching band slideshow, and we went through that. That took about 30 minutes. Pretty much has everything you need to know: payment, who to pay, what does it cover, what are we doing this year, what competitions are we going to, football games, all of that. And we went through all of that information. And then I went through a very short slide that was more geared towards the color guard, talked about what the warm-ups would be, how the change in our class schedule is going to work, all of those little types of things that are good for incoming members and rookies to know, not rookies, incoming members and veteran members and parents to know. So that's basically what we covered. I highly recommend you do this and try to get everybody in the same room. It's good for them to meet each other and see the other parents, because sometimes they're just hanging out behind the keyboard and we don't often get to see some parents. So it's nice for you to meet the parents, introduce yourself, not through a screen, and get to know everybody a little bit, and just have some good FaceTime. And you can collect payments during this time, talk about contracts if you have one. So just lots of things you can do in that amount of time. But I highly recommend doing this. Good luck to everybody in the next few weeks. I'm sure everybody's doing exams and wrapping up the end of the school year. Have a great one, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Whitney. So what are your guys' best tips for planning for next season?
And I'm a little extra, so I get it that most people probably won't do this, but like, we had uniform managers that made sure that, uniforms were in the right garment bag and things like that. We had equipment managers making sure that all equipment was taped the right way, especially like, flags, because most of the weapons, they, had to deal with their own equipment. And then we had bigs and littles. So you made sure that your little, knew what time she had to be at what report time was, and make sure they were at school at the right time and stuff like that. So I think making sure that everyone is in their right spot. This is just not an easy way for me to answer this, because I, again, extra, did the most, doing the most. But yeah, that's what I would be prepping for, I guess you could say, getting ready for the next season.
I think it's also really important to know what your kids can do. That's a big part of it, like my planning that I do. Sure. You have to know their abilities and not plan too elaborately, or like have your standards too high. I mean, I have high standards anyway, so whatever's in my mind, that's what we're going to do. But like find a way to make it work for them instead of just having like super hard choreography and like they're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, and having to water it down later, that takes so much time.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's important for any program to, regardless of how far you already are in your design for next year or whatever, is to look at last year, what worked, what didn't work, what did we excel at, what did we, fall short of, and build off those things. I think often too many programs just go, oh, it's next season, let's put another show on the field.
And then they just make the same mistakes that they made last year.
Yeah, being a judge, you see a lot of that year after year, and you're like, you guys really should have a meeting.
Yeah. Having communication, like if you have a drill writer, you have to be able to communicate if there's changes and not just, oh, well, that's the way it is, so good luck.
That's actually going to be a tip, is that you need to have like your form of communication established and solid as you prepare for the next season. So it doesn't matter like what you want to use, if you want to use Google Classroom or if you want to use like the Band app or Remind text messages or whatever. That is really important to have that communication, a staff communication and communication from the student leaders to the students to the staff and so on. So there's like, set all that up in advance for sure. Well, let's shine a spotlight on our friends at the Drum Major Leadership Academy, since it's all about drum majors today. They are here to get us some leadership and drum major tips every single week. So take it away.
Summer is right around the corner, which means that band camp is about to begin. If you are a drum major, section leader, band captain, or any other student leader, you need to attend the Drum Major Leadership Academy's Marching Band Virtual Leadership Camp or select in-person camps held in states around the country. By attending these camps, you will not only learn the ins and outs of how to be successful in your position as a student leader, but you will also receive actionable insights that help you better resolve conflict, lead your ensemble's culture, teach your peers, and create an inspiring and supportive leadership approach that helps you, your section, and your band program be as successful as possible this marching season. You can learn more and RSVP for these in-person or virtual opportunities by visiting dmlatraining.com/camps. And if you have any questions or need help getting registered, please feel free to reach out to the Drum Major Leadership Academy on social media at DMLA Training or by emailing our team at camps@dmlatraining.com. We look forward to seeing you there and are excited to support you and your marching ensemble this season. Stay inspired.
All right, time to get our history lesson this week. Each week, the Marching Pageantry Arts Museum folks are going to give us a little bit of history so we can know what came before us. So take it away, Bill.
Hey, everybody. This is Bill Ives from the Marching Pageantry Arts Museum in Upper Darby, Pennsylvania, with this week's fascinating snippet of marching pageantry history. Did you know a Fleetwood record helped sell Harold Barber's mom on the idea that St. Rita's Brass Band was a top-notch corps? The end of the 1969 Drum and Bugle Corps competition season had come to a close. It was also marked by my first year of competitive field competition. I was a member of the Carter Cadets. It was late September, and a private meeting was held by corps members only. The veterans were not pleased with the direction of the corps. A vote was called to disband and go to other corps or not march at all. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was confused what the veteran members felt that way. I loved being in Carters. It had always been my dream to march with them. So I stuck around for a while to see if Carters would make a return to the field of competition. Although the rookie horn line seemed to gather good numbers, I quit because the drum line was only a handful of drummers and my friend Vernon was not there. My good friend Vernon, who had played snare drum in Carter's drumline, called and told me he had gone to check out Wind Center Toppers. I decided to be with him. However, Vernon was not there that day. Then I went to try out for the Topper snare line. Later that evening, when I called Vernon, he informed me that he had joined the national contender for championships, the St. Rita's Brassmen. I was stunned. St. Rita's Brassmen was a World Open Championship finalist. They had competed against all the top corps in the nation with excellent results. If my friend Vernon was in the brass band, I thought I wanted to join. However, pitching this new venture to my mother ran into an issue. She thought all drum corps were the same. I had to convince my mother that St. Rita's Brass Band was a top-notch drum corps, and I even showed her the 1969 An Evening with the Corps Fleetwood album. St. Rita's was featured on the album. I told her that top drum and bugle corps make records. This was my selling point to convince her to let me join. My mother was leery about the location where the brassmen practice. The brassmen practice on Atlantic and Shepherd in the East New York section of Brooklyn, New York. My mother was unfamiliar with this area. She was overly cautious, letting me travel to neighborhoods unknown to her. But my older sister intervened for me and helped convince my mother that it was okay to travel there. Plus, my sister was a little more knowledgeable about the caliber of the drum corps. Well, my mother granted me permission to join St. Rita's. I lit up like a Christmas tree. I immediately called Vernon to tell him the good news. He was ecstatic. "Man, you just wait," Vernon exclaimed. "It's going to be great." "Ha ha," I said to myself after I hung up the phone. "St. Rita's Brassman, here I come." I went into my room to do my happy dance. I then kissed the Fleetwood album they were on. Stay tuned to future podcast episodes for more fascinating snippets from the collective history of the wonderful activity we call the marching arts. To learn more about the Marching Pageantry Arts Museum, go to marchingpageantryartsmuseum.org and follow us on social media.
Thanks, Bill. I know Stephen and the folks over at the museum are working hard on their history podcast coming soon, so be on the lookout for that.
That's right, Ashlee. And if you don't follow Drum Corps Today on Instagram yet, you really, really should, especially as we get into the summer season. They are keeping us all up to date with everything that's going on in Drum Corps. So take it away, Jeremy.
Hey everyone, Drum Corps Today with another Drum Corps news segment. First up, we have rehearsal camps that are coming up. This weekend there are 6 camps lined up. Out west, Blue Devils B have a camp in Concord, California on Saturday, May 13th. Gold has a camp in Eastvale, California on Saturday, May 13th. Golden Empire has a camp in Bakersfield, California from Saturday, May 13th to Sunday, May 14th. Impulse has a camp in San Jose, California on Saturday, May 13th. And Vessel has a camp in San Dimas, California from Saturday, May 13th to Sunday, May 14th. Out east, Raiders have a camp in Salem, New Jersey from Friday, May 12th to Sunday, May 14th. Next weekend there are 11 camps and 2 corps are moving in for spring training. Out west, Boise Gems have a camp in Caldwell, Idaho on Saturday, May 20th. Blue Devils B have a camp in Concord, California from Saturday, May 20th to Sunday, May 21st. Golden Empire has a camp in Bakersfield, California from Saturday, May 20th to Sunday, May 21st. Gold has a camp in Eastvale, California from Saturday, May 20th to Sunday, May 21st. And Vessel has a camp in San Dimas, California from Saturday, May 20th to Sunday, May 21st. Down south, Arsenal has a camp in El Paso, Texas from Saturday, May 20th to Sunday, May 21st. And Impact has a camp in Orlando, Florida on Sunday, May 21st. In the Midwest, Colt Cadets have a camp in Dubuque, Iowa from Friday, May 19th to Sunday, May 21st. And Eclipse has a camp in Indianapolis on Sunday, May 21st. Out east, Spartans have a camp in Nashua, New Hampshire from Friday, May 19th to Saturday, May 20th. And 7th Regiment has a camp from Friday, May 19th to Sunday, May 21st. Spring training season also begins next week, with Carolina Crowns Percussion moving in on Wednesday, May 17th at Gardner-Webb University, and a few days later, on Saturday, May 20th, the rest of the corps will join them. On top of that, on Friday, May 19th, Phantom Regiment will be moving into their spring training location at Eastern Illinois University. In addition to that, there have also been 4 more corps to release their 2023 productions. Boston Crusaders will be shooting for gold with their production White Whale. Vessel will be touring the West Coast with their production, The Dark Knight. Jersey Surf will be exploring self-acceptance with their production, Express Yourself. And Mandarins will be aiming for another top 10 spot with their production, Sinner Man. As of this week, there are 381 brass spots, 86 field percussion spots, 86 front ensemble spots, 422 color guard spots, 6 conductor spots, and 71 additional spots, ranging from team time to administrative intern positions, which in total comes out to just over 1,000 open spots for this summer. All of this information can be found on our Instagram page, Drum Corps Today, and links to everything can be found at the link in our bio or on our link tree at Drum Corps Today, and stay tuned for more Drum Corps news.
Well, that's exciting news, Jeremy. It's like we're all ready for drum corps. We're ready for the season to start. But let's talk about some current news happening right now. Music for All Bands of America has leveled the playing field when it comes to amplification. I know there's so many pros and cons and arguments for and against and how to do it and where's the budget for it and all that. But what they've done is you got to play real time music, folks. All right,
Okay.
you can't just mic one person in your 22-person trumpet section and let him or they carry the section. Everyone's got to play, everyone's got to participate. And unfortunately, we saw a lot of the bigger groups doing this, and that took away from the smaller groups being able to do that, that helped them out. So let's just level the playing field.
So basically, they're taking away the ability for them to amplify their performers?
Individually, yeah. You can still microphone a soloist, individually, but it's got to be real-time, live time, and it can't be one individual mic'd in a passage section carrying the section anymore.
I like that a lot. I feel like there's marching band's all about the kids, and if you're putting in like a pre-recorded thing or just having like one kid who overshadows the rest of their section, it's not really about the whole band. It's not about the kids that we're doing that, and that kind of makes me happy that they're doing that. I like it.
No, I agree. I think it's a great decision they've made because just electronics in whole is just a financial nightmare, and two, there's no need for it. There's no need for it. Either you can play or you can't play.
Let me be devil's advocate just for a moment because
here she comes.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from with like level of playing field a little bit, but like there is a difference in atmosphere when you do add the electronics. And being I've played both sides of the field with this. I've been with a program that did not have that amplification on the field for players, and there's a different sound there. And I've been with a program that had the amplification of miking like the whole field because like a lot of groups do it. There's an atmosphere change with that. So and being smaller and bigger. I mean, I don't see this too much with marching bands all that much. The bigger ones, yes, as far as BOA is concerned, like those big ones, yeah. But like, I think I'm looking more along the lines of like what drum corps do too. So I can see where both are coming from, and I think this is more along the lines for. I mean, I personally think it's for marching bands. So I get it. And also too, I mean, honestly, if you're miking one person during an ensemble moment, that's not right. But no.
We always got upset as like the color guard people because if you go out as a horn player in a huge horn section and you don't know your part as well as everybody else and you just like stop playing, it's not nearly as noticeable as when the color guard just stops spinning and they don't know their choreography.
Absolutely. So. And this puts this back into play.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to know the parts. We can't hide anymore. So,
Well, speaking of electronics, I'm going to kind of try to segue that into this documentary about an HBCU marching band competition. Has been selected for the 2023 American Black Film Festival's documentary features. So we've kind of talked about this before, the HBCUs doing their Battle of the Bands, and Florida A&M University's Marching 100 is one of the bands that is featured in this documentary. It is called The National Battle of the Bands, A Salute to HBCU Marching Bands. And it's so cool. I just love to see stuff about band, and there's especially like the really like the hardcore culture of the HBCU bands getting out and getting to the sort of secular society.
Yeah. It's one of those things that people don't really know about. I mean, honestly, I am nowhere near the end all be all of HBCUs, and I am learning so much. And I
for
love
sure.
that, like, I'm not the only one who's like, "Ooh, let me know more." Everyone is, So, yeah, I'm excited to see this and see what they put out here.
Well, and the fact that it's like creating more content that could potentially be shared to these, especially these students that are in like high school marching bands. I was in high school marching band. I had never even heard of HBCU bands. I had no idea anything about that. And so, like, when I first saw an HBCU band on social media in like, I was out of college already at that point, I think, and I was just like, what is this? It's like they're doing marching band, but it's completely different from the marching band that I know. So
I'm like, are the two of us dancing? Are they doing the
what
while playing? What?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So
Yeah,
congratulations to them for being selected for this award. That's awesome.
Yes, kudos.
Those groups were moving well before drum corps and marching band were bebopping on the fields. Well
Yeah,
before.
sure. Or not. They didn't come out the womb with the sousaphone on doing that stuff. Come on.
Right?
A learned trait.
So it also looks like there is a high school band from Hawaii, which is James Campbell High School. They were invited to attend the Independence Day Parade that's in Washington, D.C. this summer, where all 50 states were also invited to go in this parade. But they just recently had a pledge fall through, so they're trying to scramble up the funds to still go, because that pledge was $300,000. So that's a lot of chunk of change there to give up.
To
So
just skip out, yeah.
they still have I think about a month to raise $200,000. They have a GoFundMe set up, so go check that out. They were actually selected in 2019 to be in the parade, but since the pandemic happened in 2020, it got rescheduled, so now they're in this year's parade.
Oh, man. Well, first of all, we talked about this before. I would love to go and help out at a band in Hawaii.
Right?
Like, I will put on that flowery T-shirt or the button down, the Hawaiian shirt, and work. But man, 300,000 K, that's a lot to fall through. Like, that can
Right.
either you're going or you're not going.
Right.
Man, get out there and please fund to that. I mean, send something to that GoFundMe for them. That would be great to have them here. Oh, so my news story. So I love music. I mean, and not just like, hey, here's a, like Sergeant Pepper or whatever, but like actual bands. I go see shows all the time. And let's see, who is it? It's PK Young or Young. It's Yonge. And y'all know that my last name is Younger, so it's Yonger. Yeah. All right. So I know it's hard. I know it's so they're so similar. But this school, they're out of Florida. The marching band was in the music video with jukebox. Hold on, I have everything right here. But they were in the music video with jukebox. Jukebox the Ghost, and the name of the song was Brass Band. And I watched the video. The video is entirely shot backwards, and it's basically you can see the setup for it. Everybody's in like a modern day thing, like they're just doing their day to day thing. This band is setting up for their step off for a parade, and the one that they zero in on in this marching band is a color guard member who just breaks out from the rest of the marching band and like starts making their own way forward. And then that's basically what's happening with people in their everyday life on this day at the same time. And so, but the cool thing about it, it's all shot backwards. The whole video is shot backwards. So at the very end, you see this color guard member go back to where she is set up in the block. So, and you do hear them playing. Yeah, it's very cool. It's very Memento-esque, if you've ever seen that movie.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. But it's shot like that. So it's not just, hey, band, come play. It's, hey, let me make you into this whole like storyline of the video. Very, very cool.
So we have a new king over in Great Britain, and
we do, right? If you were under a rock, you probably don't know this, but
my rock was pretty big. I'm just kidding.
King Charles happened earlier this week.
His coronation.
Yeah, and there's some chitty chatty about a band that plays instruments on horseback, right? So
what? When you're stepping your
an instrument on 2 feet is difficult enough. This amazing group plays for like the royal birthdays, changing of the guards, coordination of kings and queens when it happens. But this is a group of the Royal Army. They perform on horseback, all the brass instruments, drums. Yeah, and you wouldn't, if you just heard them playing, you couldn't tell that they're on horseback.
Hold on.
You don't hear it coming through the instrument at all.
Tom, I have a question. How do you play a drum on horseback?
Right, so I just saw a picture of it. Literally, it's on either side of the horse. So, it's kind of like playing tenors, but, you got a horse in the middle.
That poor horse.
But the horses are probably like super well trained, though. I'm sure they're just like, this is what I do.
So everything I know about a horse is they don't like loud sounds. So these horses must be, pretty special to hang out with the drum line. Or even a horn player, I'd imagine,
Mm-hmm.
My question is, were there also color guard members on horseback?
They are, but they're just traditional colors.
Oh, so like just like a counter card.
Yeah. There's no fives being tossed, I don't think.
I tried desperately to make color guard on horseback happen when I was in high school. I took my practice flag home and I got on my horse, and that was a terrible plan. I do not recommend that.
Jackie, the only reason I don't think WGI has done it yet is I just don't think we can find a venue that will cover the insurance of live stock on the floor yet.
Oh yeah, isn't there a no live animals rule, specifically in WGI?
So I mean, we're gonna keep working on it for you, Jackie. Okay.
Okay. Let's get rid of that live animals rule and let's get some horses in there. We'll have the Dixie Stampede, it's not called that anymore. The Dolly Parton Stampede. Oh. And we're going to get that up in there and get some horses running through there, have people on ostrich back.
I went to Dolly World this day. Did anybody else go to Dolly World? That's another show.
Another show.
Ashlee, why don't you tell us what's going on in the twirling world before we go crazy here?
So all of the regional competitions are happening pretty soon to get ready for nationals. That's in July. This past weekend was the North Atlantic Region Championships. So a couple weeks ago, it was the Mid-Atlantic Regionals. So I think personally, the Northeast area is huge for baton twirling. It's some of the most competitive that I've seen compared to the West and Midwest, the South. I think some of the best twirlers come from the Northeast, but I don't know. That could just be me. I might be a little bit biased. And also all of the feature twirler auditions and the majorette line auditions are finishing up here as people are committing to their schools and securing those spots. for the next year or the next 4 years, depending on what they have. And then, it's just really exciting to see everyone get into their dream school, and then on top of that, being able to twirl with the band and live out their dreams of being a college twirler. It's so much different than competition twirling. It's so much.
Oh yeah.
For me, it was so stress-free. I didn't have to worry about anything. That was like where I learned to actually perform and like have fun performing, like, and not have to worry about, oh, I'm gonna drop this or something like that. And then we also have in the twirling world and on a water break, we're gonna have a new podcast, which is On a Water Break in Rhinestones. If you don't know the twirling world, we love our rhinestones. So if you can if it has rhinestones, we're getting it. And if it doesn't, we'll rhinestone it. I remember at nationals, the parents would stay up for like all night. They would have their pillows, put the costume on the pillows, rhinestone all day, rhinestone all night.
Oh my
E6000, the toxic fumes.
Wow.
And your costume only weighed 80 pounds.
Seriously. My prom dress, my senior year of high school, it actually didn't have rhinestones on it, but I went ahead and rhinestoned it because it just wasn't enough.
Of course.
Right.
Is it going to be a twirler dressing up for glam?
Something's missing.
Yeah, so there's 2 interviews set up for that podcast, so be sure to look out for that with our host Lexi Duda. Like I said before, she's one of the greatest twirlers of all time. I'm lucky enough to call her one of my former teammates and a close friend, so I'm really excited for that.
Nice. Yay! Oh, I love it. I love all this crossover. It's great. Okay, everyone. Hey,
let's go Celtics. Woo!
Thom, Nicole, and Ashlee, you guys have been amazing. Thank you, Whitney and Lex. Of course, follow Lex at Blonde Caramel Twist. It's blonde.caramel.twist. And as well as Bill from at Marching Pageantry Arts Museum. That is marching_pageantry_arts_museum. Joshua from the Drum Major Leadership Academy at DMLA Training. And of course, Jeremy from at Drum Corps Today. Go subscribe, write us a review, share this with a friend, and definitely write us those reviews because we're ready to see them. We want to see what you guys think about our podcast. Hit us up.
Yes.
Follow us on our social media at On a Water Break, and we will see you at the next rehearsal on a water break.
Go practice.